Hello, my friends. How are you doing? I hope you are doing excellent and having a wonderful day, or have had a wonderful day if your day is now over. While I'm recording this video, it's towards the evening time, so the day is pretty much close to being over. Yeah, I hope you're all doing well. For today's video topic, I wanted to talk about a movie and a show that I really enjoy. You'll see it in the title of the video, obviously, and in the thumbnail, but there's two things, and to be fair, I can make two separate videos talking about this movie and this show. I could make two separate videos because they're both, they're both pretty extensive in their own right. But today I'm going to be talking about the movie Solo and the critically acclaimed Star Wars TV show Andor. And first I want to talk about Solo because I love Star Wars. Okay, I am a huge Star Wars fan. Now, I know that that's kind of a divisive topic because a lot of people really love Star Wars and then they love what Star Wars used to be and they kind of hate all the new stuff. I am what you would call a Star Wars optimist, which is kind of a term I've coined. Basically meaning I try to give it the benefit of the doubt, right? Now, of course, there are things that I have to just admit the quality is not good on, like The Acolyte. I think there were parts of it that were really interesting, but it just wasn't a good show, in my opinion. And the sequels, I think we can all kind of agree that they could have done a lot better, right? They could have not killed off Luke Skywalker. I mean, spoiler, but the movie's been out for like almost 10 years, so I did not agree with them doing that. How they killed him, I really did not like. I thought that was the most lazy and stupid concept. I even think Mark Hamill tried to talk to. He was talking about an interview I saw where he's trying to talk to Ryan Johnson, and he's like, "Fans are gonna like this." And Ryan Johnson's like, "I'm the director, I know what I'm doing," and we all found out that wasn't the case. But I can make a separate video complaining about The Last Jedi and the sequels and how I thought The Acolyte wasn't very good. But today, I want to talk about Solo and Andor. So I rewatched Solo last night, actually, before I went to sleep. And to be fair about Solo, it's a very hated Star Wars movie, I would say. I wouldn't say it's overhated, but a lot of people didn't like it. A lot of people don't like it. For me, I kind of have mixed feelings about it. So I didn't dislike the movie. Alright, I thought there are parts of the movie that were really fun. And if I made a video just talking about everything I hated, that would just be sad. And I feel like a lot of Star Wars fans are like that, where like even if you gave them the best thing on planet Earth, it would never be good enough, right? Because like, even Andor, for how critically acclaimed it is and how successful that show has been as one of the best pieces of Star Wars media since the original trilogy, there are still people out there that try and shit on it, talk about how terrible it is and how Andor is the most awful show on the planet because there's a scene in there that is kind of a little bit intense for a Star Wars concept. Anyway, but that's kind of how people are about Star Wars. So, anyway, the thing about Star Wars that I really love is I love the community aspect. Like, I'm a huge fan of, well, I don't want to get into the High Republic. I was going to say the High Republic. I love the High Republic. Now, it has flaws, yes, but it is one of the biggest, most, what do you call it, ambitious pieces of recent Star Wars canon that exists. But I'm not going to talk about that. I'll make a separate video, and believe me, I'll be talking about the High Republic a lot because I think it's overhated. I think the Acolyte kind of left a bad taste in people's mouth. But the thing you have to understand about the Acolyte is that's towards the end of the High Republic era. That's not like the books, the comics, the audio dramas, all of which I've listened to and read because I love it. So all I'll say is, for the High Republic, try to be a little bit reasonable and understanding. If you hate it, give it a try. Try read some books, listen to audiobooks. They're not half bad. Especially the adult novels. They're pretty fun. Anyway, so that's my little side note there. Sorry it took so long. But today I want to talk about Solo and Andor. So I rewatched Solo, and to be fair, I kind of don't remember why I didn't like the movie as much. Like, I rewatched it and I was like, Yeah, I mean, it's not that bad. I kind of liked it. And I remember I had a friend that told me, he was like, I don't like that Chewbacca has subtitles when he speaks. And I hadn't seen the movie in forever, so I was like, oh yeah, that's stupid. They don't do that in the original trilogy. Um, and then I watched the movie, and I think it only had it for like two scenes. Like when Chewbacca spoke, it didn't have like subtitles like, this is what Chewbacca means, by what he's saying. It did have for some scenes. And honestly, I mean, yeah, that would be kind of off-putting because they never did that in the original trilogy or any of the other movies that Chewbacca's in. But even still. So Solo. One thing I did like about Solo was the Kessel Run. We had never seen that in canon. I'm pretty sure in Legends it explained it in a book or something. But because Legends, man, is just amazing. I was a huge Legends enjoyer as a kid, and I would be nowadays, but there's just so much content to get through. And at the age I am now, like, I would have to do this for like 10 years just to get through all the content up until the final book, Crucible. Just to, So even though I think Star Wars Legends is better than canon, I tend to stick to canon a little bit more just because I save time and it's a little bit more palatable. Now, that doesn't mean I think Legends is not good. I think Legends is peak Star Wars. But, I try to stick with canon now just so I can be in the loop. Anyway, so Solo, the Kessel Run. This was a very important part of the movie. I think a lot of people overlook this part, because Star Wars fans are toxic. I'm just gonna be honest. Like I know that might anger a lot of people when I say that, but like not every Star Wars fan is toxic, but a lot of them are. And if something isn't like as good as what they remember it being when they were a kid, they get mad. So every new thing that comes out, they just hate before even giving it a shot. That was the same thing with the High Republic. I saw so many videos on YouTube being like, we want the Old Republic, the High Republic sucks. And I'm like, if you want the Old Republic, just go play the video games, go read the books. There's tons of content on the Old Republic. Yeah, sure, it's old, but there's tons of content about it. And it is a great era, so, and I would see people on YouTube complain about like, oh, well, I want a Darth Vader live action like series, and I would be like, dude, read the comics. There's like 3 different comic series about him, the 2015, 2016, 2017. Like, go read those. It's canon. It's all canon in those in those series. Like, you gotta give it a shot, But Star Wars fans are kind of toxic, and that's how I felt it was with Solo a little bit. The thing I loved about Solo was that the Kessel Run kind of scene, and him with Lando and Tobias Beckett and the other characters, Chewbacca and Kira, his first love, which I'll get into that in a second. But, the Kessel Run was very interesting because we had never seen that in Star Wars canon. We had never seen like an actual depiction of that. And I think a lot of people forget that when they hate on this movie. Like they're like, "Oh, Solo sucked. It was terrible." But I don't know. Like this was a very important part of the movie, and I thought it was cool. And then when they free the slaves on, now I'm blanking. What planet was it? Well, it was the planet in that same scene. I forget the name. Some Star Wars fan I am. But, like, the movie wasn't terrible. I think it wasn't, like, phenomenal, but I don't think it was terrible. And rewatching it, I could, like, actually appreciate it for what it was. And, like, his first love, Kira, I know that probably ruffled a lot of feathers, because in people's head, like, no, Princess Leia is Han Solo's love. And yes, she is. But it was interesting to see that he had, like, a concept of love and attraction to somebody before Leia. It kind of builds his character, you see it more. And also his introduction with Chewie, like him becoming like brotherly and friends with Chewbacca, and then at the end of the movie they go off on their own. They talk about like, oh, a big shot gangster is putting together a crew, which is referencing Jabba the Hutt. And so that was all very good, and I loved that about Solo. I thought that was so cool, and also, like, there was a lot of character development in that movie. Like, it wasn't just like Han Solo's running around and doing stuff. Like, he defied astronomical odds. The Empire started chasing him during, when he was in that nebula part of the movie. And, we saw him overcome and grow into the person he was. Like, at the end, when Tobias Beckett was going to shoot him, when he betrayed him, to Dryden Voss, who's the main villain of the Solo movie. He's the leader of the criminal organization called Crimson Dawn. He's not the actual leader. The actual leader is Maul, formerly Darth. But you know, so Dryden gets killed, and Han Solo gets away, and him and Kira, they kind of go their separate ways. She's like, I'm right behind you, because in the movie it's heavily implied that Han, not implied, it's heavily shown that Han wants to, go away with Kira, live his life with her, because he loves her, he truly loves her, but I think she kind of realizes that their lives are going in two very separate directions and she can't come with him, which is really good character development because you see Han grow as a person. He's not just attached. The first bit of the movie, he's attached to this idea, I want to run away with Kira, I want to save Kira, I want to find Kira, Kira this, Kira that. But at the end, he finally accepts, like, you know what? Some people just go their separate ways. And it doesn't mean I don't love her, it doesn't mean I don't like her, but this is the reality. So Tobias Beckett, is about to shoot Han, and Han shoots him first. And it's actually very bittersweet, because Tobias, I should probably preface this, Tobias was the first kind of like, I don't want to say bounty hunter, but like job runner, gang member, kind of like, I don't even know if I'm describing him right, I'm losing all the words today, but he's a criminal, right? And he runs jobs and heists and stuff. And Han meets him in the Imperial Academy when he's running a job. And he originally gets Han arrested and tossed into a pit where Chewbacca's been starved for like a long time. And then they work with each other to get out of that situation. He follows Tobias, joins his crew. His lover, Tobias's lover, and his friend die on a heist job. And it's very sad for Tobias. And then eventually they work together on the Kessel job to get the coaxium, which is like a mineral in Star Wars. And the thing I liked about this movie was with Tobias, it didn't feel like he was some side character, right? It wasn't just like, oh yeah, Tobias is here and he's, all the characters in the movie, Kira, Tobias, Han, Chewbacca, even Dryden Voss, they all felt like they had their role in the movie and they played it well. They played their part well. And that's what I liked about Solo. Solo, I really liked. Rewatching it. Now, I see the flaws. I'm not blind to that. But part of the things I don't like about a lot of Star Wars fans is all they look at is the flaws. It feels that way, right? When Andor came out, for how successful it was, there were some, I'm not going to name names, but there's some big time Star Wars YouTubers that just Star Wars fans that just talked about how terrible it was. And I was genuinely shocked. I was like, really? Do we watch the same show? Because Andor's pretty good. Anyway, so I thought Solo was not half bad, looking back on it. The Kessel Run, the coaxium that he stole, the interactions with him and Lando. There's this one interaction. I'd put the clip on the screen, but I did that for my SpongeBob video and it got copyrighted. So I'll try. I'm probably not going to do that as much. I'll do it if it's like a really important thing that you need to know, but I think for my videos I'm going to try and limit that. As much as I love doing that, it does copyright me. Anyway, so basically, him and Lando meet at first playing a card game called Sabacc, which if you're a Star Wars fan, Sabacc is like the card game that all the swindlers and smugglers and bounty hunters play. Lando wins, and Han plays Sabacc with him again at the end of the movie, and he learns that Lando he cheats. He has like this little card device on his wrist that he used to give him all the good cards. So he brings him in for a hug and pats him when they meet at the end of the movie. And he steals his cards. So when Lando is there trying to, cheat and use the card device that he has on his wrist, they're not there. Because Han stole them when he hugged him. So, and then that's how he wins the Millennium Falcon. Again, this is a really cool thing about Solo. It shows how Han Solo got the Millennium Falcon. It's told in the original trilogy. It's no mystery. Like, everyone knows how he got it. But it actually shows you in this movie how he got it, which I thought was really cool. So yeah, Solo, after rewatching it, after a few years of not rewatching it, I thought it was okay. I thought it was pretty good. You know, there are the things about the movie I found kind of annoying, but I really liked Solo overall for what it was, and I thought it was really enjoyable. It was just a fun action movie, and it showed Han's character. And even in the movie, when they bring the coaxium to the meeting point, even Kira, it gets revealed that the person that's been chasing them, trying to take it back, are freedom fighters. They're not marauders or the people that they've been made out to be. They're freedom fighters, and they're trying to fight against tyranny. And Han gets told by Kira, you know, she's like, I'm kind of paraphrasing here, but basically says, you know, he has a good heart and he wants to help people. And Han is like, oh, no, I don't want to do that. But we all know Han, he actually cares about people and he wants to help people. This is shown in the original trilogy. And it's shown again in Solo, which I thought was really cool. So anyway, enough about Solo there. I think I kind of went on for like 15 minutes just talking about my opinion on Star Wars and Solo. Let's talk a little bit about Andor. And don't worry, I know that I spent most of the time talking about Solo, but I will make a separate video where I talk just about Andor. I love Star Wars, and I love talking about Star Wars, so there's a lot of Star Wars videos to come. So you don't have to worry about that. Andor. Man, what a show. That show was so good. Showing kind of, I think Luthen was a great character in that show. Kind of showing how, you know, he was kind of like, I wouldn't say the first rebel, but how he kind of was like the birthplace of what would be the Rebel Alliance. And that was really cool. And even in his shop of antiques, which he has as kind of like a front for what he's really doing, he has a Keldor mask. So if you don't know what a Keldor is a species of, it's a Star Wars species, that wear this black mask in any atmosphere that's not their own because they can't breathe normally in atmosphere that isn't their own. The Jedi Master Plo Koon has this mask. He is of the Keldor species, and it's in his antique shop, along with a suit that looks like Starkiller. I don't know where he got this from. I don't know if he popped over to the Legends universe and, you know, made a deal to get it, but there is a suit that heavily resembles Starkiller's suit in The Force Unleashed, in the dark side path. So I thought that was really cool. I don't know. I think also the Rakata, which are like in Legends, like this ancient empire, a very feared alien race. I'm pretty sure they're even referenced, which is pretty crazy. But anyway, Andor is a great show, and you could kind of see it because a lot of Star Wars shows that came out, like Ahsoka or Book of Boba Fett, they didn't get a second season as quickly as Andor did, and they came out first. So it's kind of like, you know, it's kind of like, it kind of goes to show how good of a show Andor actually is. So talking about Andor, I think Andor is a character, you know, you see him in Rogue One, and he's a cool character, yeah, but no one's really like, oh, okay, you know, just a Rogue One character. It's a movie, so they don't have time to explore his character a lot, but they explore his love and relationship with the woman that he is with. I think her name is Bix. Excuse me. And he is trying his best to overcome the odds that the Empire, because the Empire is evil. The Empire, and we all know this, but the Empire is really evil, and you can see that in this show. They just murder civilians. They control with an iron fist. It's crazy. And you know this about the Empire, but to actually see it played out so meticulously well and like in such great depth and detail in the second season. And again, I should have put I'm gonna put a spoiler warning on the thumbnail or in the description of the video, just in case you haven't seen it. But at the end, Mon Mothma, who's one of the biggest Rebel Alliance supporters up to this point, and she also is a senator during the Clone Wars era, and actually knew the Jedi, was friends with them, you know, was a Republic senator who actually values freedom and not tyranny like Emperor Palpatine. And she stands up. She's just like calls him out straight up, like, oh, you know, Palpatine's evil. You know, she just calls him out. So she has to escape, and Andor's like helping her escape to get her out of there. And then I'm assuming she goes to Yavin 4 after that, because that's where the Rebel base is. One thing I've always been kind of confused about is, like, how the Empire never found out about Yavin 4. I mean, they did in the Battle of Yavin, but like even before then, I'm like, man, they didn't know. Like, it's crazy. Well, it's plot, you know. They got it. If they got found out, then it wouldn't have worked. But yeah, Andor is an amazing show, and I was kind of giving you a quick synopsis of the parts that I liked, but I'll make a separate video once I rewatch it, just talking about Andor. My next video is going to be about a series of Clint Eastwood movies that I recently watched that I love, and I have to watch the last movie still, so I will make a video on that once I've finished the movie. But anyway, my friends, I know this was kind of a bit of a rambling. I might have gotten some of the details. I'm an honest person, right? Like, I'm not going to make videos where I'm like meticulously getting every single detail right. I'm a human being. So if I forget something or I do something or I say something that isn't like canonically correct to whatever thing I'm talking about, feel free to just let me know in the comments, you know, and be like, hey, actually Andor did this, and I'll be like, all right, cool. I'm doing this for fun, you know, because I love you guys, I love my viewers, and I just love talking about things I enjoy. So, anyway, thanks for tuning in and listening to my solo and Andor ramble. I will make some more videos talking about Star Wars: The High Republic, which is going to shock a lot of people, but it's actually, as far as canon goes, is probably I don't want to say my favorite, but one of my favorite eras. It's like top 3 for me, in canon specifically, because it's just so much fun. Listening to the audiobooks, the comics, all of it. It's just so much fun. I don't think it's gotten nearly enough credit, so I'm taking it upon personally to give it more credit, because I don't see a lot of people, besides like, you know, a few different Star Wars YouTubers, I don't see a lot of people talking about the High Republic, so I'm going to make it my mission to talk about it. Not really, but, you know, just talking about it when I'm interested. Anyway, my friends, you take care. Have a great day.